With all the different guns in Helldivers 2, are you unsure which ones to unlock first? Whether you're new or somebody who casually plays, this could be a challenging question. But don't worry, that's where I come in. This new series called Dad's Battle Labs will put each weapon up against every enemy faction to see how well it does and if it's worth spending your hard-earned credits and medals. A little while ago I did put up a community post to see where I should start, and sadly no one responded. So we'll go ahead and do the next best thing, and I'll pick the gun that I want to use. So today we're looking at the AR-2 Coyote. So first up we have the Terminids. These bugs usually aren't too difficult, but they are fast, so if they swarm you they could become very deadly. The AR-2 does have a decent fire rate at 600 rounds per minute, and when you pair that with the incendiary rounds, this weapon seems to make light work of scavengers and warriors. And when putting this weapon up against bigger bugs like commanders and spewers, it still seems to hold its own fairly well. The relatively high damage along with the medium armor penetration and the possibility of setting enemies on fire makes it feel almost too easy. Now after using this weapon for a bit, where I think it kind of struggles is going to be with how fast you deplete the ammo and with the reload speed. Those two things together, along with something like a larger bug breach, or when you have large amounts of warriors and hunters that move pretty quick, it did allow them to swarm me kind of easily, and then eventually they just took me out. But I will say that could also just be a skill issue. Honestly, the AR-2 held its own and made running solo Terminid missions not only fun, but easily doable. Next on the list, we're going to jump into some Automaton gameplay. And once again, the Coyote shines against lower tiered enemies like the Troopers and Raiders. I noticed it made a huge difference putting this weapon on semi-auto and not full auto, because number one, not only did it cut down on the recoil, but it helped with not depleting the ammo as fast. And honestly, the incendiary rounds took only like 1 or 2 shots and then they were setting them on fire. And since they usually aren't too close to you unless you're not really paying attention, they were falling and dying before they even got to me. Now for enemies like Berserkers and Devastators, I did find myself needing to put this weapon back on full auto, but pretty much like everything else, the Coyote makes short work of them. Now for Scout Striders, I generally feel like this enemy isn't that big of an issue, but definitely when using the Coyote, when you're shooting their legs and their waist, it's really not an issue. Now for the bad part. When you're going up against things like Hulks or tanks or anything with like a heavy armor penetration, don't use this. Their heavy armor just sends all the bullets ricocheting in all directions. And for something like that, I would probably carry a recoilless or maybe some thermite grenades, just so that way you can safely navigate some of these higher level missions that are going to have these bigger enemies in them. But honestly, other than the heavy enemies, the AR-2 felt like it was made to kill robots. Now for the enemy I always dread. The Illuminate always seemed to be the bane of my existence, as no weapon that I've really used seems to excel against them without having some sort of negative side effect. Yes, I'm talking about the double-edged sickle. But off the bat, there kind of seems to be this pattern where the Coyote just mows down voteless without any real difficulty. And just like the Terminids, make sure to keep your distance, and those fire rounds are going to make sure that they fall before they even get close to you. Now against any type of Overseer, this gun shreds. I will say though, for the elevated Overseers, putting the weapon on semi-auto did make it a little bit easier to take them out. Now for the flesh mobs, it does handle them relatively easily, but it does take a little bit more time. When shooting them in the middle, which is a weak spot, it still did take about a mag and a half to finish it off. So if these things do charge you, make sure you have some distance. And as for things like warp ships, just like with the Hulks and tanks, don't even try it. I would suggest bringing an ultimatum, because this thing just takes them out in one shot. But with that, there's only one real question left to answer, and that is this weapon worth the unlock? My simple answer is yes. The AR-2 seemingly had no issues with any enemy type below a heavy armor. The fire bullets, amazing fire rate, and low recoil made it fun, easy to use, and made soloing missions a breeze. And when you pair all of that with the fact that it's on the first page of the Dust Devil's War Bonds for only 35 medals, I say not only should it definitely be unlocked, but maybe even one of the first weapons that you aim to purchase. Well, if you made it this far in the video and it helped you out, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe for more helpful Helldivers 2 videos made for casuals and beginners. And until next time, remember, keep casual, stay alive, and go manage democracy.